Hi, everyone. We'll get started in just a minute, letting the last few folks join in. We're all excited you're here. All right, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited that you've joined us. We're going to have some fun talking about college essays and get ready for, this coming application season, whether you're a senior or a junior getting ready, sophomore or freshman even. So we're super excited you all are here to join us. We're going to get started with our College Essays 101 webinar. So a little bit about our team. We are Futureology, which is our Capo Unified School District's college and career counseling program. We have a lot of knowledge to give, and we're excited to work with all of our students on campus related to all things college and career. So before we dive into the, details of today's presentation, college essays, we're going to talk about a few housekeeping items just to help run through this presentation smoothly. Your camera and microphones are technically turned off right now, but if you do have any questions while we are presenting, you can put them in the Q&A and one of the counselors will respond. So again, if you have any questions throughout this presentation, please use the Q&A feature, and then we'll get to you as soon as possible. And then at the end, we'll have a little bit of time for additional Q&A as well. So that way, hopefully, we'll be able to answer all of your questions. All right, so this is our Futureology team. So we are a team of 6 counselors. We work at each high school site throughout the district. We are located in the College and Career Center on your campus, whether it's in the library or a classroom near the library. So we have Miss Nguyen, she's at Aliso Niguel. We have Dr. Davila at Capo Valley High School. We have Myra Luna at San Juan Hills High School. We have myself, Nicole Rengifo at Dana Hills. We have Angela Gatlin at Tesoro High School. And then we have Laura Jasso at San Clemente High School. And then we also have our coordinator, Ms. Erica Gardner. She is in charge of our college and career department for the district. So each of us are credentialed school counselors. We work with students in the college and career realm. We love to work with students and help them achieve their goals, whatever it may be for after high school. We all have experience working within college admissions, reading applications, or working at colleges. So we have a unique lens to help students before they're applying, as well as what happens afterwards. And then our team is very data-driven. So we utilize data in different ways to help make sure we are providing the best resources and guidance for our students. We are student-focused, so we want to make sure everything we do is benefiting students, and we always are working hard to make sure that they receive the best. Alrighty, so a little bit more about how our department can help you or your student. Futureology has different resources available on our campuses. So if a student comes into the Career Center or parents check out our website, we can help you in a variety of ways. First, we have college and career appointments. So students and families can schedule a one-on-one college and career counseling appointment with your counselor, either on-site or via Zoom. We also host events and workshops such as this one. We've had a few already this semester, and we have plenty coming up. And we always share that via email and messenger. So always be on the lookout for upcoming events. We have school-wide support with initiatives such as college fair. We have workshops on campus to help all grade levels. We also have a website with a resource library and webinar locker. We house all of our past recordings. We post them on YouTube so students and families can watch those. We have resources such as documents related to financial aid or how to edit your essay. So lots of resources on our Futureology website. Alrighty, so today we're going to talk about a few things. First, we're going to focus on what exactly is a college essay. Next, we're going to focus on the different types of essays. We're going to look at the UC and their system for essays, or PIQs as they're known. We will also be talking about the Common App essays, any other essays that might come up in this process, whether it's supplemental essays or maybe scholarship essays, how to create strategies to be successful on your essays, and then some essay examples. All right, I'm going to pass it on over to Ms. Gatlin.
Okay, so we're just going to get right into it, talking about college essays, understanding the role of the essays in college admissions process. So go to the next slide, please. So kind of a start off point, like what is a college essay? So basically personal statement, written response, these are what admissions readers are going to be taking into account when they're looking at your applications. It also gives them a good idea as far as your personality, what's different about you, other than what they can already see on your transcript. So it's really good that you do this in your own words, make sure it's personable. The essay should be all about you. So different elements in a college admissions essay. So again, focus is that the college essay is on yourself. Make sure it's not focused too much on somebody else. Let's say if you have, a strong mentor in your life, that's okay to mention that, obviously, but you, want to make sure the focus stays on yourself. Okay. You have the choice of showcasing, something about you, like a talent or trait. You can also highlight some personal struggles that you've been through, how you've achieved some type of adversity. You can also use a topic elaborating on a hobby or activity that's meaningful to you, again, something that is unique about yourself. So the more honest, the more vulnerable you are, definitely the better, obviously whatever you're comfortable with, but it's this chance where that admissions representative can get to know you on a more personal level. So who uses a college essay? So the UCs, they have something called personal insight questions. Some private universities and some out-of-state public universities use college essays as well. So in this particular session, we're going to focus on the UC personal insight questions as well as the common application essays. So what are the types of college admissions essays? So going back to the UCs, the 9 different UCs, they have something called personal insight questions. And we'll dive into a little bit of detail on the next slide. Common App has common application essays. Also, sometimes there's going to be added supplemental questions in addition to that first essay. So this can be anywhere from asking why you're interested in the university, why are you pursuing this particular field or major? How do you demonstrate intellectual curiosity? So these supplementals can be anywhere from a couple word answer up to 1,000 words. Okay, so kind of looking at a deep dive with college admissions essays. So the UC personal insight questions, or otherwise known as PIQs, it's more of an interview style. You only have 350 words max to answer each of the prompts, okay? So there's 8 different UC personal insight questions that you can find on their website, UC Admissions. You're gonna be choosing 4 of those, okay? So again, 350 words or less, which doesn't give you much room to kind of set a scene or add in any extra wording. So make sure to be direct, matter of fact, kind of almost like an interview would be, where you're answering the question directly, okay? So make sure to provide concrete examples. That's really what they're looking for. Make sure you're not being too general or kind of relating anything to like scenario based. Make sure it's an experience that you had, or again, concrete examples. Common application, okay, that's more of a narrative flow because you have up to 650 words. So it is more of like your traditional essay format. But again, Make sure you're being unique, creative. You want to stand out. You want to let them know something about yourself, that they can walk away and remember who you are after reading your essay. Okay. So what are admissions readers looking for, right? So they already have an idea of your GPA, your test scores, right? Because you send those to them. They have a copy of your transcript. So what else besides what's on there can you tell about yourself? Okay. So what's your story? What can you offer to their particular college or university? So that might entail doing some research on different college and universities. How do you approach obstacles? Are you likable, right? These are all things that they're kind of looking at to see also if you stand out in those ways. Again, what can be shared that has not already been stated in your college application? Because remember, you're going to have different sections that you're going to be putting activities, honors, awards, and things like that. So you want to use this space to talk about something new that you haven't already before.
So now we are going to dive deep into the UC application. And so we use the word PIQ for short for personal insight questions. So if you are applying to the UC system, definitely take some notes in this section, but we are going to break it down, what that means, what it looks like, and what even are those questions. Again, there are 8 to choose from. We only have to select 4. You do not need to submit and should not submit more than 4. They are asking, it's required to submit 4 of them. So the 8 questions that you can select from, students sometimes believe that there's one that admissions readers prefer over the other, but that's actually not true. It's whatever response will make sense for you. So based on the questions, and we will look at them shortly, which one can you choose so that it allows you to tell a story about yourself? So if it's about a talent, a skill, and you can really write about that, then for sure focus on typing out those responses and then formulating a short response essay, really, because it's 350 words, like we've said. So whichever question that allows you to tell the story in the best light, that's the one that you want to choose from. It should really be highlighting the student. So if you want to take a second to look at the screen, these are the 8 questions on the UC application that you get to choose from. We always recommend students to start jotting down ideas in a Google Doc. That way you don't forget or don't miss your content. So that way it's saved and can go back and look at it, especially if you have someone like your college counselor editing this information. These are the different questions. So talk about leadership, one about a creative side, greatest talent, skill, significant education opportunity, and so on. First of all, make sure you all are reading the 8 questions in its entirety, because you'll notice that some of the questions have and then some of them have or, and that depends, right? So if it's asking and, you want to make sure that you're answering all the questions that they're being asked instead of just one of the particular part of the question. So it can get lost if you just focus on leadership, but it's asking you for something else. So be sure to read the 8 questions completely. Make sure you are crossing out questions that you just don't enjoy or you have nothing to say about. Oftentimes, students may want to really, really answer the question about a creative side, and they just can't think of something. So we say, don't worry about that one. Let's look at the other. That's why there are 8 of them. Look at the remaining questions and say, I have something to say here. And it's really nice if you are able to just chat about it with somebody without in like essay structure. That way you get a flow of what that response may look like. So start with answering questions you like. Do not worry about the word count in the beginning. Just write out thoughts. Once you have a good draft, then you can go back and edit them. It's also really important to share it with someone that can speak on behalf of your journey with that particular response. So someone like your friend, family, counselor, even your teacher. That way they can, sometimes they are able to see, oh, you missed out in this section. So be sure to have someone edit it. Don't do it the night before and then just submit that way, because that can definitely, it can always utilize help and revision like any particular response actually. Some do's and don'ts that we recommend. Do not please spell out acronyms. So if you are, say, at San Juan Hills and there's a particular club, but it's short for something else, you need to spell it out because the readers do not know your school the way you do. And so be sure to spell out the clubs or awards that you receive. Make sure you keep it conversational as well and simple and clean. That's really key here because they're reading thousands of essays. And so, like we mentioned earlier, you want to stand out, but one way to do that is also to keep it simple and concise. That way they're not searching for you in the prompt. And what I mean by that is more so you're answering their response and they can really see characteristics about yourself and speak about your accomplishments or your struggles, whichever question you're answering. And then in that, keep it professional. So do not use slang or make sure you're spelling out things completely. That way it just shows you're taking it seriously, but also the tone or the tone in the response also makes sense. Do not try to do creative writing. I know maybe a lot of times we're taught that a great essay has like this flowery language or strong hook. It can still be a strong hook, but creative writing, we just don't have the space for that in the PIQs. That would be maybe more of a Common App essay where it's more narrative. These are straightforward, straight to the point. Don't start with like titles or storytelling because then, or jokes or sarcasm. That really can distract the reader and it's taking up space, right? So we want to make sure that the reader gets to really know who you are in those 350 words. So it's difficult to do, but possible. That's why you have the support that you do have. Before you can submit, have someone revise, particularly because we can catch things like this is not really needed, or you don't need to be so philosophical. If you spent 3 sentences where we could have used those sentences to write more about you. So we are going to quickly revise an example through the UC admissions readers. So if you want to take a second, I know it's a lot of writing, but you can take a second to look at this example here. The question is, describe an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or contributed to group efforts over time. As you are reading the response, pay attention to the last part here, or contributed to group efforts over time. In this question, they want you to answer, when have you been a leader? What was that experience like? How did that either positively influence others? How did that resolve disputes or contribute to group efforts over time? You don't have the luxury of answering all 3 in 350 words. So that is why we, in this particular question, we would select one or the other from these 3. And so in this response, I'll go ahead and let you read it for another minute or so. And one thing, a key thing that the readers will be looking at, or you as you're reading this, is, do I get to know the student in this response? And am I able to clearly see how their leadership experience did one of these things? So with this response, we think, and admissions readers deemed this response as a great response that added value to the student. So they were able to see the student in a different light because they tell us that leadership means that they is putting the interests of others ahead of my own. That's a quick response and pretty direct. I always put my best self forward to act as a second parent for the family. And at home, I'm a leader. My leadership role is to take care of my family. All action words, and we are able to really understand where the student is coming from and how they've been a leader. Lastly, when they put things like, I have many titles and hats, including all these here, each of these represent a part of me that means to be what it means to be a leader and advocate. So this example here that we use is a good one because it's simple, it's concise, and it answers the question directly. We don't need to know everything about the family. We don't need to know everything about their 8th grade year. It just answers the question, okay?
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Luna. So this is Heidi Davila, and I am the College and Career Counselor at Capitol Valley High School. And I'll be touching on Common App. And this would be specifically for any student who is applying to a Common App school, such as any private or out-of-state schools. Okay, so the common application admissions essay. So this one is a little bit more like an actual essay. You have a lot more words to use. You have up to a maximum of 650 words. And when you have a word limit like this, it's not necessarily that you have to feel like you have to get to the 650 words. I think in this case, admissions reviewers would rather focus on rather that you focus on quality rather than quantity. So if you aren't quite getting to the 650 words, don't stress out about it. As long as you're getting your point across and you're giving information, the necessary information, you'll be just fine. But again, on the opposite end, we do want you to take as much advantage as possible so that you can give as much information to the reader so that they can walk away feeling like, yes, I got to know who this student is. So just, you got to keep a balance. There are 7 different prompts that you can choose from for the Common App, and you only need to choose one. This does have a little bit more of a storytelling or a narrative type of a style to it versus the UCPIQs. We need to just be quick and succinct because you have such limited words. But here on this Common App personal essay, you do have a lot more space to be able to go into your own narrative. And then for private colleges that you apply to on the Common App, they will be able to see your Common App essay. So any college that you're adding, whether it's private, out of state, as long as they're part of your Common App list and they are requesting the personal essay, they'll be able to see that one essay. So you just want to be cautious not to name a particular college campus because everyone is going to see it, anyone who's requesting the personal essay. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so the common application prompts. As I mentioned, there are 7, and so these are the 7 prompts. If you notice, a lot of them will mention, so I'll just read them out loud. Some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful that they believe that this application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. Prompt number 2, the lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. Again, you don't need to speak on all of them. You can choose one or the other. How did it affect you and what did you learn from the experience? Number 3, reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking? What was the outcome? Reflect on something that someone has done. This is number 4 for you that has made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. How has this gratitude affected or motivated you? Number 5, discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and the new understanding of yourself or others. Number 6, describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? And then number 7 is a lot more open-ended. Share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. And so this one you do have to be careful because, again, as you're reviewing your drafts, you want to make sure that you can clearly identify what bits of information am I providing to my reader that allows them to walk away feeling like they got to know another part of me. They got to know my personality, my thoughts, my beliefs, like why what information am I giving them that leads them to walk away from after reading my essay and feel like I exactly know why this student belongs on my campus. I exactly know why this student should come to my campus. So some do's and don'ts of the Common App essay. You definitely want to make sure that you focus on you. This is all about you. Okay. You might want to consider opening with a scene. A lot of the prompts do ask that you describe or reflect or kind of provide some insight as to what experience you're going to talk about. And then focus on a single story. Remember that this is more of an essay format. So you do want to have your beginning, your middle, your end. You want to make sure that you're always presenting yourself in a positive language. Make sure that you're conscious of the language that you're using, always in a positive way. And then choose your story before you choose your prompt may be a strategy that you want to utilize. Just one thing that we highly encourage you to reconsider and not do as you're writing your drafts is pay any homage to any individuals. Don't look up any words on the thesaurus. If it doesn't come out naturally, then don't use it. We want this to, readers would prefer that you use your own language, the words that you would use on a daily, and that really allows your personality to come through and allow the reader to get a sense of who you are as a person, as a human being. So don't worry about trying to impress anyone. This isn't an English assignment. This is just you allowing the reader to get to know you. Definitely do not hire someone else to write your essay for you. This has to be all about you, by you. Some universities will even take an additional step and ask you to certify that any information that you're providing is accurate, that the essays that you completed are your own work solely. So be conscious of that. And then try to avoid any cliches. So some examples of a cliche that are commonly overused, it's just language that's really overused. It's very common. It's like, oh, here we go again. So some examples, I need to be true to myself. Time heals all wounds. Every cloud has a silver lining. Good things come to those who wait. I learned more from them than they did from me. You win some, you lose some. Little did I know. Let's try to keep, just stay away from those. Use your own language. Let's avoid cliches. Okay, so we're going to jump into a quick Common App example. Okay, so this example, I'm going to just kind of quickly skim through it. And so it starts off with, it was a dark winter night as the train lurched out of Milan station. Tensions remained high as thoughts of the war rushed through the mind of my grandfather. The lights dimmed as rain dribbled down the glass window pane. The only thing that separated him from the distant fires and pulsating explosions that rocked the night sky. Suddenly, sirens blared as the rush of planes could be heard in the distance. It was the middle of World War II, and their train was a prime target for the overflying fighter jets. The passengers were rushed out the train, but placed at a crossroad, taking shelter in the nearby forest or making the longer trek to a nearby shelter, a decision that would end up changing my grandfather's life. He chose the bomb shelter. Those who took refuge in the forest sadly didn't survive. This one decision was life or death, but it was still only one decision in the thousands that shaped who my grandfather is. So something to be conscious just by reading through this. Again, going back to what will the reader walk away about this student, knowing about this student. So far, what I've interpreted is they have an awesome grandfather who went through a lot, but nothing about the student themselves. So this has given me no insight about the student and who they are as a person. Let's see. So this is just kind of continuing on to the rest of the essay. So we didn't really get to a chance to go through it, but community. So it kind of, as you read through the essay, you'll see that it does jump around quite a bit. There's no real, there's no flow to it. The student is kind of jumping around from different topics, many of which don't even apply to them. And so in this case, this would be considered a missed opportunity. So there was too much jumping around. There wasn't any deep exploration into what was the student really trying to get across, who was the student. The student may have wanted to elaborate a little bit more and give some more examples of who they are as a person. And focus was too much on grandfather. We went through, the entire first semester was basically on just their grandfather. And there was quite a bit of cliches that were used. So again, some things we want to keep in mind. And like I said, when you are reviewing your own drafts, what I typically do recommend is when you're reading, grab a highlighter and just highlight any bits and pieces that really talk about you, that really show you in a positive light. So ask yourself, if I were a reader who didn't know anything about me, what pieces would they actually read and learn new information about me? And if your page at the end of your review is highlighted for the most part, then that's a good sign. But if you notice that there are big chunks where you haven't really highlighted quite a bit, which would be the case for this essay, then we definitely want to dive a little bit deeper into talking about the examples you're providing and the information that you're giving that's a little bit more specific to you.
Hello, I am Laura Josso, and I am the College and Career Counselor at San Clemente High School. And we are going to jump into supplemental prompts. So your student may be asked by some universities to write more than one essay, and we're going to go over some common examples of those essays. Okay, so one that is commonly looked at is they want to know why you're interested in their university, right? So they want to know, why do you want to come here? Why are you a perfect fit for our school? Why are you interested in any particular major, right? So talk about, your student will be asked to talk about their field and why their school is the best fit for them, okay? So this is where it's really important that your student researches their schools, okay? So they want to know that they need to look up the school. What is their vision? What is their mission? What major features do they have at their school? What opportunities do they offer? What kind of programs do they have? And they definitely know if you're copying or pasting information. So you want to make sure that it comes off very natural and that you explain why that school is for you, okay? So some short answer prompts are going to be, for example, for Chapman University, they would ask, if you could prepare a meal for an admissions team, what would it be? So a question like this, they're trying to get to know you, right? So we've heard this in the Common App. We've heard this in the UC personal insight questions, right? They want to get to know you as a student. They want to know more than what you're offering in, your transcript or just straight off the application. So you can let yourself shine. You can let your personality come out in these questions. Another example for the University of Chicago, what's so easy about pie, right? So this definitely gets into your personality and just how you come off, what kind of person you are, what kind of student you are. So they just want to basically get to know you. Okay, so some additional information that we are considering now, right, is in this section, you'll be able to discuss how community disruptions such as the COVID-19 pandemic, natural disasters have impacted your studies and extracurricular opportunities. This is something that as counselors, we have heard a lot about with all of our students. Well, this impacted me because I had to have a pause in certain activities, and colleges know this as well, okay? So we're going to go a little bit into that. So for example, academic hardship is a big one, right? So for some students, online learning worked really well. For some students, that did not work so well. It doesn't make them a terrible student. It just means that this was a disruption to them, right? So they can talk about these things. In-person learning versus online learning was a big one. The grading system being changed during that time as well affected a lot of just the transcript and just how students how a school will see a student in the general sense, right? So testing was also distributed online. So AP, IB testing, extracurricular activities were paused. Some students went fully online for a longer period than others. So you want to make sure that you are mentioning all of this if it is something that truly affected how you present yourself academically and also within your extracurricular activities, sports, or other things that you were involved in school on a regular basis. And also, if you had additional responsibilities at home, I know some of my students last year, it was mentioned a lot that they had responsibilities, or they had to take in family members and things like that. So when that happened, that also disrupts your home life, right? So that all is taken into account. So you want to make sure that you mention that.
Okay, and now we're going to go into this kind of different information that sometimes college applications will ask about just to get a better grasp of who you are. And so these are sort of like exceptions because you've already had the time, especially with the UC application, you've had the time to write about extracurricular activities and then the PIQs, of course. So this next section may not apply to everyone. It actually rarely applies to a lot of people, but we will see what that looks like. So sometimes there are situations that students have faced, and families, of course, that has hindered their academic readiness, their lack of attending sports or extracurricular activities. And so this is something we call like additional comments for the UC application and comment application. So this section is only if you feel like everything else that you've put in the application does not fully resemble who you are and there's something missing. And so because you don't always get the opportunity, especially with the UCs, there's no like interview process. This is kind of that. Like I've already told you my academics, I've already told you what I've done in school, and I've written about my life, but there's still something that you're missing. And if I don't say this to you, then it can change the way that you think about the student, right? And so some examples that would be included in additional comments are things like a long-term sickness, transferring from different schools or moving countries, for instance, loss or grief experience, and so forth. This is a unique situation that the student feels my story is incomplete if I don't mention this. So it's rare that or I shouldn't say rare, but it's not something that will apply to everybody. And actually, UC admissions readers are very particular about this section as well, because they don't want you to use the additional comments to say, I took 8 AP classes, for instance, or I volunteered in this cleanup volunteer group. They don't want to know that because they've already had a section for that where you could have told them. So avoid repeating yourself. This is, again, a unique circumstance for students that have faced some of these examples. And if you're not sure, definitely connect with your college counselor. Now, this is tricky and might be triggering, but some students would like to discuss further in detail something that went wrong, something that they experienced growing up, or something that they experienced while they were in school, in the high school. So only share with your college admissions readers what you want them to know. It is not required for you to go into detail, even like the Common App essay, even though you have more time, or sorry, more words, doesn't mean you have to say a lot. So it's not the only thing that defines you. Make sure if you do choose this route and feel like this is important for them to know because I overcame a lot of struggles, then you want to highlight the growth and personal development if occurred, okay? Again, not everyone, it doesn't apply to everyone, but contact your college counselor if you have questions about this particular one. Okay, this one is tricky because we've heard a lot about AI and we know it's out there. The college admissions readers know it's out there. Professors, everyone knows it's out there. And we strongly recommend you to not rely on chatbot generated essays. Some colleges actually may consider this a form of plagiarism. And you might have heard things already, like from if you have family members or friends that are in the colleges, where they are pasting things on there and then submitting that to their professors, and professors are getting to know that information as well. So when you are writing your essays, it needs to be personal. It needs to speak on really you and your tone and language. That all gets across when you're the one doing it. We know it's a lot of work, takes a lot of time, but you have to support. So please avoid using generated or AI generated essays. It just doesn't have the same tone that you could express and deliver if you do it yourself. And actually, some colleges may require students to certify that they did not use AI tools, again, because we know it's out there and people are using it and misusing it. So be cautious of these tools. Lastly, please make sure you are always checking, and we can't stress this enough, make sure you're reviewing all the prompts, especially when you are ready from the Google document to paste it into the question, that you are pasting the response to the correct question. If it's about leadership, don't paste the leadership response where it talks about talent, right? Because then you're not answering the question. You can be a great essay, but it's not answering the question, then that would be a huge missed opportunity. Make sure you are very careful about the word count. They specifically want no more than 350 words for the UCs, for instance. And even the other ones with the 600, you don't want to go overboard because they're reading thousands of these. So please make sure you're staying below or just right at the word count. Answer the prompts correctly. Make sure you're not over generalizing things, and then remove characters. Again, these are kind of things we already talked about, but as a review, highlight yourself. We want them to know exactly who you are. but it's hard to do that if you are talking about other people and spending time highlighting the achievements or successes of other people in your life. These are some free resources. The College Essay Guide, very popular resource tool. Lots of people are already using it. And then the UC PIQ worksheet as well. These will be linked, and yeah, this presentation will be available to you all, so you can quickly click on the link so it can take you to those resources. Your Futurology counselors all have had college essay workshops and will continue to do so at your particular sites. And then, of course, reach out to us. That's what we are there for, and all of us are eager to support you.
All right. Hi, everyone. So we wanted to highlight a couple events that are coming up. We have our college fair on October 2nd at Capo Valley. It's our district college fair. Currently, we have about 110 colleges. So a great opportunity for all grade levels to explore, talk to college reps, learn about their applications, majors, financial aid, and things like that. We'll have some UCs, Cal States, international private schools, community college. So lots of options in a great evening. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can drop it in the Q&A right now. As well, in the future, students stop into the Career Center, whether it's in the library or near in a classroom, or you can always shoot us an email, which we'll post in a minute. But if you have questions right now, we'll stick around for a few minutes for Q&A, so you can add those to the Q&A box right now, and then we'll all help answer. But also we have a recorded version. This webinar will be posted on our YouTube channel soon. And then we also have tons of other resources on our YouTube channel talking about financial aid or Cal States or UCs or other topics that you might find pertinent. So if you have some free time and you'd love to watch any of our videos, I would suggest checking those out. All right. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. So let's see if we got any. So I'll go ahead and answer one right now. And then if anyone else wants to jump in, feel free. Oh, it scrolled away. So, So can you submit the same essay for different colleges, or will it be considered plagiarism? So if it's your own writing and you're submitting it to multiple colleges, no, because it's your own information. And when you apply and you respond to the PIQs in the UC app, each college is going to see the same essay. Or when you apply in Common App, you write one essay and then they'll go to those colleges. So that's totally normal. Let's see.
Next question that I see, which colleges have supplemental essays? Is it usually for private schools? So usually through your Common App, when you log in and you start adding all of your colleges under your, when you start look at your college list tab and you click on each college, you'll be able to see which ones have require the personal essay, which ones have supplemental material, supplemental questions or essays, and then which ones have some questions in general that they want you to answer. So the best way to find out which of the schools that you're applying to are going to have supplemental material is by logging into your Common App. Make sure that you've added the colleges that you're considering and then checking each one of their requirements.
Yeah. What about Cal State? Do these fall in the Common App or are they supplemental questions? So the California State Universities do not have an essay portion. That's why we didn't talk about them in this webinar, because Cal States do not require essays. There is nowhere in the application to respond to anything. So you don't have to worry about essays for that application, for those applications. And yes, the Common App, like out-of-state private colleges, that's one application system. The UC app is a different account, different website. And then the Cal States is a completely different, they're all different systems. So you will apply to them in different ways. And then just be careful with some that want you to go through their website and that kind of thing. And then I did see a question about, will the PIQs be different questions for the fall of 2024? As far as we know, we haven't heard of any. We all attended the UC conference that we do every year. We have not heard that the questions will be different. It should remain the same 8 that are currently at the UC website. but we have not heard that they would be different for fall of 2024. And actually, that fall of 2024 is the academic year you're applying for. So these are the current 8 questions on the application.
We got a question. What's the difference between a regular school counselor and a futurology counselor? I love that question. It's a good question. So your, regular counselor, as you state, they're going to be helping your students with planning for, classes, scheduling, things like that, and then also being there for any kind of social emotional support. The futurology counselors are 100% dedicated to college and career support. So anything college related, career related, that's where the counselors might send, your student over to us. So we can kind of answer some of those questions for them on a more detailed basis.
Your question about how do we know which schools need letters of recommendation? The Common App, it will, if you're doing private out-of-state colleges, there's a section on there that will ask the students to include either counselor, teacher's email for letters of recommendation. The UC application, the 9 UCs do not require a letter of recommendation. There's nowhere in the application to include it either, so you don't even have to worry about it. Cal State's, no letters of rec either, except if your student wants to apply for something called Education Opportunity Program, the EOP, then they can get letters of recommendation just because it's a program that they would be getting support at the university, but otherwise no letters of rec for UC, Cal State, but the Common App, private out of state, then you would have a section for letters of rec.
There was a question about so supplemental requirements. We kind of touched a bit upon that. So as your student is putting in and clicking the colleges that they want to apply to, then they will be able to see what the specific supplemental requirements are. Also, as far as like paying for the applications is a great question. So for Cal State and UC applications, you're going to be entering some, family income information, and that will automatically determine whether you qualify for a fee waiver. And then that will show up at the end of the application. For Common App, you will actually request a fee waiver in the application from your school counselor, and they will be able to approve that or not.
Okay, I see the question. If a supplemental says it's okay to copy paste the Common App essay, do you recommend doing that, or should I write a separate essay? So I recommend first, let's just look at generally, it's very competitive when you're applying to colleges. And then depending on which college, depending on what major, it's super, super competitive. And so my standpoint on that is I would recommend provide as much information about yourself to the admissions reader so that they can see you from different perspectives, different writing components that you're providing. So I would recommend taking advantage of the opportunity to, in addition to a personal statement, provide supplemental material.
All right, I'll take the next one. Let's see. Someone asked about supplemental essays if they're optional. It's kind of addressing what Ms. Davila said. Should you answer it? So I definitely encourage students to, because one, the question is unique to that school. So you can highlight maybe why you like that campus, why you like the major, or just add some value about your personality that you didn't really highlight in your main essay. So I always recommend it. Obviously, it's a student choice, but if it's a short response, hopefully you can spend, 20, 30 minutes in crafting something that's unique. So I definitely think it's recommended for sure. And sorry, to add to that, we have essay workshops, essay edit appointments, so we can help students through that process. If they're like not sure about what to answer or write about, we can walk them through that. So definitely utilize the resources through the Futurology department, especially in the Career Center. I know we will all be editing a lot of essays this year. Last year, each of us probably edited 100, 150 senior college essays.
There was a question regarding about, maybe students with disabilities and how to address those in the essays or personal insight questions. Again, it's really whatever your student is comfortable with, okay, as far as divulging, but also making sure that it does kind of end with some sort of a positive twist. How did they overcome, these obstacles, things like that, growth, whatever it may be. But again, it's really up to the student as far as what they want to share and what they're comfortable with. If they are comfortable sharing about, maybe this is something, obstacle of overcoming, make sure again that they end something with like a positive of, how this has helped them and the growth that they've, had throughout this process.
So I see a question. Oh, I just scrolled away. About testing. So how can you find out if a school is test blind or test optional? And then is it worth it to apply to schools that are test optional if you didn't take the SAT or ACT? So kind of two questions. To find out if a school is test blind or test optional, couple ways. One, you can search on the school website under their testing requirements. Every college, a university is going to have a page for first year college applicants and their requirements, and it would state right on that website. You can also look on the Common App. If you are already applying, it will have a section for each college. And then the last one is a really cool website called fairtest.org, and it lists schools and their policy. So to answer the question, if it's worth it to apply to a test optional school, I think so, because one, if it's a school you're interested in, it's optional for a reason. They value other things. So optional is exactly what it means. You're not going to be hindered if you don't have it. And a lot of schools that still are optional, maybe not very many students even use the test. So there are a lot of factors, and that's something we can kind of have a conversation about individually with a student and family if they're concerned about certain colleges and whether they should take a test or not. But definitely it's a good idea.
The question about where we can find if the schools are test blind or test optional. So usually if you just go to the school's website, it will tell you. For instance, I just looked up BYU today in Utah, and it said right there, we will consider SAT scores. And then the UCs, Cal States have told all counselors in California, we are not going to be looking at them for any admission or scholarship purposes. So looking up on the website for the school, they're pretty clear on posting it on there, but definitely check in with one of us or the person at your site so that you can get clarification.
Yeah, and just another question, kind of regarding some more like personal information. Yeah, if there's something you've struggled with, depression, anxiety, things like that, please don't think that the readers are going to, say, oh, you're not a fit for our campus or school or anything like that. We're all human. Everybody has struggles that they're going through. So they are not judging you on your experiences. It's not a judgment. It's really just like, as you as a person, and you're able to show how you've overcome something, right? Or how you've worked through a challenge, that shows your personality. That's the part they're looking for, is how did you overcome a challenge that you've been faced with? So yeah, they're not going to be judging you on specific things that you went through at all.
So I'll answer the question about the next essay workshop at Capel. So I'll be hosting every Wednesday. I'm hosting a workshop here in the College and Career Center where students can sign up through Enriching Students for Gold Time. And every Wednesday, students can come in and work on whatever application they're working on. If they'd like me to review their essay during that time, I can do that. So it's a little bit just more open, structured. It's just up to the student, whatever application they're working on, they can work on it and have access to me if they have any questions or get stuck on any part of it. That's every Wednesday. And then I'll be specifically having a workshop on the Common App and personal essay. So I combined both the Common App and personal essay on October 10th. And again, students do have to register through Enriching Students during their gold time period. And for UCs, I'll be hosting a workshop where I'll go over just UC applications, some tips and things to watch out for, as well as the UC PIQ on October 17th. So those are coming up. And but again, if the student needs support with that much sooner than that, every Wednesday, they're welcome to sign up and come in and get that support, either one-on-one or through Gold Time.
Let's see, we have a question, resource where you can look at each school's emphasize ranks their values for admission. Well, so, with schools now and colleges, they're really looking at a holistic approach And so, you know, they're looking at everything in your application, not necessarily one over another. So it's your essay, it's your GPA, extracurriculars, honors awards, and things like that. There's a couple websites. I mean, the one I can think of is we use like Big Future a lot. That's where you can go in and you can see under admissions, different kind of, you know, the top GPA, top percentage that are getting into specific schools, testing scores with different ranges. So you can see a lot of data there. If that's something that you're interested in looking at, it's Big Future. Okay, so let's see. Oh, okay, we're getting to them. So I know somebody's answering this question, but early decision, early action. So just remember, early decision is binding. Okay, so meaning if you do get accepted to that college, you're going to that college unless there's any kind of substantial financial reason, but it's kind of a long process. Early action is not binding. So, you know, you can, if you want to go to a different school after you receive that offer, it's perfectly fine. It's not a binding option for you. Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions? We'll hang out for a little bit. And we will definitely be sharing this presentation, the recording and the slides to everyone who attended and registered. So be on the lookout for that email in the next couple of days. And then obviously, please reach out if you ever have any questions. Our website has tons of resources. Students pop into the Career Center whenever you need help. And we're super excited to be able to help you. And we're super excited that you were here tonight. But let us know if you have any last minute questions. We'll stick around for a few more minutes. Let's see. I'll answer the first one that just popped up. Is early action important, or is it better to take more time on your essays? So if you are considering applying early in general, if it's early action or decision, it's always important to make sure your essays are well thought out. If you feel like you're rushing just to get that deadline, then maybe reconsider it. If you feel like you've put in the effort and the time, then sure. But if you're kind of worried and you don't feel like you've had enough attention to edit and things like that, it's probably a good idea to reevaluate. But that's something we can help with. So if students are considering early, we can totally work with them, maybe work on their essays and edit so that way they feel confident.
And then the question, do transfer students do essays? So if you are attending a California community college and you're completing the requirements to transfer to a four-year school, particularly a UC or a private or out-of-state school that does require an essay, yes, you would be writing a response based on the transfer applicant prompts. So there are prompts that are specific to transfer students. So you just want to make sure that you're following those and answering those instead of the first year immediately after high school freshman applicants. So transfer students do have their own prompts that they respond to.
Muted. Well, thank you for everyone joining. We are super glad that you spent your evening with us. So hopefully now you can go enjoy some dinner and relax. And you learned a few things about essays. Let us know how we can help, and always come in and say hi to the Career Center or reach out via email. Thanks again, everyone. Have a really good evening.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good one. Good night, everyone.